Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real, and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. Welcome to none other than Kate McDonald, e-commerce coach and product launch expert. I'm so excited to have Kate on the podcast. She's a dear friend, a client, and I don't know, so many things to me. And I just am so inspired by her and her journey and her success. So welcome.
Thanks, Rach. Thanks for the warm welcome and so happy to be here. So my name is Kate and I am from Sydney. I am a mum. I have 3 stepchildren and 2 children of my own. I run an e-commerce business and also a coaching business to help women in e-commerce really find success online.
Amazing. And you do an amazing job at it. You're incredible, particularly with your Instagram marketing. I just bow down to you in that regard. You're amazing. So tell us a little, I'd love to explore your backstory. How long have you been in business? How did it all start? What were you doing before that? Just tell us a little bit about your journey. Take us down memory lane.
Yeah, so really it happened 7 years ago when I had my son and I was on maternity leave. So I was working for the government and I was actually a detector dog handler and trainer. So that was my full-time job and I loved training animals and I used to be a SEAL trainer as well. Just throw that in there.
I love that. I was hoping you were going to mention that.
Yeah. So, for my whole career, basically since I left school, everything was about animals. I did all those jobs and I really loved training animals. So that's where I was. And when I had my son, I was on maternity leave. I was just craving something, just something for myself. And I was really in tune with Instagram, not for personal use, but was really inspired by lots of women creating these online businesses. I was like, hey, what is this all about? And so that really sparked me to start my very first business, which was called Logan and Alice. And I developed my own line of silicone baby teethers, believe it or not, which actually did really, really well. So I was kind of juggling the whole business, going back to full-time work after that. And I just really enjoyed the whole process, the marketing and learning the Instagram and building the websites. Like I did all the things myself. And I just felt this really big passion about it. And it brought so much joy. But then, 12 months later, myself and my business partner at the time created a new product, a totally different niche. And I thought, wondering what I could do with this one if I had success with the other one. So the first one was actually built to 6 figures online, that one, without paid marketing, right?
Amazing.
Yeah. So then I was
working full-time and
juggling children. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
the juggle was real. I won't lie. The juggle was, but really, the passion for it, utilize those spare moments of time to build it, learn, and grow that business. And it was really doing quite well for what it was. And then I thought, well, with this second business, could I apply the same strategies? I think this was the test for me, is different product, different niche. And it was all about really dog trainers. Like I said, I had that animal background and we created a training pouch for animal trainers like myself. And I was able to apply those strategies for that business and it grew even quicker than the first one. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm onto something here. It wasn't just like a bit of a fluke. And that's where I really started to dive deeper and deeper into all this online marketing, particularly Instagram and email marketing is my thing. I'm not really about the paid marketing because I have had lots of success utilizing those platforms alone. And I've grown that business and I still have that business today. And it's a multi-6 figure business, selling silicone treat pouches, believe it or not. And I guess along that journey, I had so many women reaching out like, how do you do this? And I want to start my own business. And that's where this coaching business became a thing, because I was like, I'm so passionate about it and I don't want to start any more businesses selling products. I think it was like, do I do another product or do I do the coaching? So yeah, so that's where the coaching business came about. So I could help more women who were like me that, have children or they're juggling life and they want something for themselves. Just understand how it all works, because we generally don't have any idea how it works. We just want to do something. And so now I coach women to achieve similar results with their own businesses.
Amazing. So you're clearly so passionate about it. And I guess, going back to that real hustle phase, is that something that I've observed over time, I guess, is that the businesses that do succeed and that do, I guess, end up thriving, because it is a little bit of a hard slog in the beginning, are the ones that actually have a passion about what they're doing, because that's the driver. Like, that's why you're okay about staying up till midnight some nights updating the website, or you're dead tired with a tired teething baby, but even when the nap time comes around, you, instead of sitting on the couch with a cup of tea, you're there at your laptop. And I completely relate to that. And I think that there's, it's nice to normalize that.
Yeah.
Because that's a part of the, sometimes when you are in those early stages, you have to be juggling. Like, it's not, you can't just all of a sudden have a successful business because you decide you want one right there and there.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be lovely.
Oh, wouldn't it?
But we know that's not the reality of, like you said, successful business owners. Yes, it comes to a point where it does get a little bit easier, but definitely if you want something, you've got to have the motivation, the determination, and you do need to try and juggle and, add those little pockets of time in for the outcome that you want. And it's definitely not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it can definitely be worth it for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you do get that joy and fulfillment from it, like, that's the reward most of the time.
It is. It so is. And it can change everything in your life. And I think for me, when I did start, initially it wasn't, going to be this big thing, right? But it ended up turning into something that I wasn't planning. And then from there in, it was kind of like, well, what's the goal with this? And as you know, Rach, my goal was to kind of leave my full-time job, leave that behind, have that flexibility with my children and my family. So which I have been able to achieve, and it wasn't overnight, but it did happen, and it's happening now.
Yeah, so amazing. And just on that topic, how did you know when it was time to take the leap and cut those apron strings of full-time employment?
Yeah, and I think this is such a mind game for yourself. Like, I really think that I probably could have been ready earlier. But, with society and things, it's always like, oh, you need the security, and like, if you leave, you're not going to get this. And, so that was always playing on my mind, and having, lots of children, I guess,
I get it.
yeah, like it is something quite big to go and leave. But when I kind of realized, and it was probably around, I'm going to say 3 years ago now, when I went all in, I kind of got to that point. I'm like, the only way I'm going to be able to grow this to where I need it to be is to now dedicate more time to it. And I knew if I did that, obviously it was going to benefit me greatly. So I had that kind of idea of, this is where we're at, and this is, can support. But if I really lean in and take my focus away from all the other things, it could be, where I need it to be, and sustain it. So yeah, look, it's not an easy step to make. And, for myself, I guess I had family members who didn't even understand what I did. So, my parents, and are you sure? Like, it's an online thing. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So you do question it. But I knew at that moment in my heart, I was like, I know I can make this work. Like, I've proven that enough. I know that all I need to do is really step in and make it what I want it to be.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, just to highlight, like, at some point you've got to just cut out all the noise and cut out the, not cut them off completely.
No.
But cut out, those well-meaning, well-intended loving family and
Yeah.
friends they just don't quite understand, and just really listening to your own intuition.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
yeah, and also, like if you've seen the growth, and from just being able, from dedicating the time that you have already, you've seen how that works. And so you've got to sort of look at the proof and
Yeah,
lean into that. So I'm so
absolutely.
excited that
Yeah.
I was so excited at the time when you did that. It was
Yeah, I know you were there when that all
amazing
happened.
breakthrough.
Yeah, and there was a lot of doubt, but and when I did it, like it was so, I don't know, it was just like the best feeling. I felt free almost in a way, like that, constant to and fro of, should I, shouldn't I? And then when I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I did this earlier.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, it kind of gave me another spark of motivation. It was like, okay, we're doing this, and there's
Yeah.
no looking back. Like, let's
That's
go.
the thing, is that when you remove that trampoline, like you remove that safety net, it's like, I have got no choice now. And you're so
Exactly.
accountable then. It's like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So I totally understand. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. So exciting. Like, it's scary but exciting. So what would you say has been or is your biggest contributor to success in both your product-based business and now as a business coach?
Yeah, I would say, from a personal point of view, I really think that the biggest key for my successes is really staying um motivated and, like we mentioned before, but what is that end goal that we're looking at, or where is it that I'm going? And it is hard. And some days you're going to be like, why? And
Yeah.
other days you're like, I'm all in. And I think it's just like the roller coaster of business. But I think, you know, um, it's just not giving up. It's learning to rest and just kind of taking a step back when you need, and, just never giving up on that dream. And if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. And I think that for me, as part of my success and just being so determined of what I want to create,
Mm.
has really turned it into what it is today. And like you said, late nights and the juggling and the things, they needed to happen for it to get where it is now. And yeah, it's testing, but if you push through, but yeah, that real motivation, determination, I think for me personally, outside obviously, like, different strategies that I use in marketing, of course, like, as Rachel would know, I love launches and product things. It excites me, and that's my jam. But obviously learning that has helped, but
Yeah.
without me being, passionate, motivated, determined, and wanting to put my whole heart into it, I don't think it would have been successful regardless of the strategy.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So any regrets?
Any regrets? I think one would have been just trusting myself and maybe going all in a bit earlier. I
Yeah.
think that was one thing that I regret, because I think I could have lifted off a bit quicker.
Yeah.
Um, the other one is not seeking help before I was ready.
Yeah.
I waited quite a long time before trying to get some support in different areas. And I think if I did do that a bit earlier, that also could have alleviated some of the, mistakes, whatever you want to say. Like, we're all going to make them, of course, and we all learn from them, but potentially could have alleviated some of those, big mistakes that I did make along the journey.
Yeah. Those mistakes. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I have this sort of philosophy that they're just kind of meant to happen that way. It would be
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
to have to, but I sort of often look back, and I know that I'm even in now, I can just think, oh, even just last week, oh, maybe shouldn't have done that like that. But if you don't make those mistakes, then you never learn. Like, you just never, I don't know, you never cut through to that next phase, or that next level of launch or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and I'm a big believer of just, it doesn't have to be perfect. You should just go out and do it, and you will learn. Like a mistake, yes, we could sit on it and go, I made a mistake. But like you said, I think it does happen for a reason. You've got to learn the things, and without trying, you'll never know what you should do next time and make it better or avoid it. So I totally am with you on that, and I definitely learn a lot. And it still didn't put me off keeping on going. So
yeah. I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, just hit me with all the lessons. Like, just do it. Let's just get it over with. I'll make all the mistakes. It's messy. I'll learn all this stuff, and then I'll be like uber successful.
Yeah. But that's how we become better at what we do, and anybody that's kind of in that starting stages, sometimes they are waiting for things to be perfect before they, get out there and put their first photo or their logo or whatever their website. And it's like, I totally hear you, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off, get it out there, and then you can kind of tweak as you go and learn from that too. So it does hold us back sometimes if we fear of making mistakes, but you always learn from them.
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy. It's not fun. So I wish that I had actually started recording before we did, because Kate and I were having a bit of a deep and meaningful conversation about this unpredictable marketplace that we seem to have landed in post-COVID. So business has slowed for a lot of people. I'm seeing businesses close like weekly. I think like just last week or 2 weeks ago, there were 4 businesses that closed down. And, it gives you as a business owner, it kind of gives you the wobbles. And, speaking to people and they're sort of like, oh, this whole year has been much slower than previous years. So what can we do as business owners? What would you recommend for businesses to get through this unpredictable market? Because, for those of us who've been in business a long time, we know from proof that there's an ebb and flow that happens with, things that happen in the world affect the market, and new technologies and different mindsets and all that stuff affects consumer behavior. But if this is your first experience, it's incredibly scary and rattling. So, what would you recommend?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like we were talking before, and, we've definitely seen a change since that, I call it the little COVID bubbles kind of burst, because we were seeing more people online and buying online, and their behaviors and how they purchase was very different. And it was really an easier way to market, new businesses, especially coming on. And whether it's product or service, I think we saw a really big increase for a lot of us. And I think it kind of that this, this false kind of assumption, this is how it works, and it's like it's fairly easy. And a lot of people didn't really have a strategy, I believe, in those foundational elements that we need to do ongoingly in our business, in the ebbs and flows, like you said. And it is a part of business, regardless of the COVID bubble. With what happened prior to that. But yeah, I think it's just, look, you'll get through it, but you need to have a look at what you're doing now, and where can we shift, and where can we change, or where haven't we really dived into that area that might have been a little bit easier and didn't have to focus. And even conversations I'm having with a lot of e-commerce ladies is like, well, do you have your email marketing set up? And a lot of the time they say no. And, if that's you listening to this, you need to go and get that set up. Like, that is an absolute almost automated gold mine for e-commerce, product-based businesses. So, there's definitely lots of areas that you can still lean into to get you through this hump. You will get through it. It will get better. But it is about looking at ways to shift your strategies that you've previously done. And, from my own business and businesses I work with, we're still seeing that consistent increase of sales in their business. There's still people buying. It's just how they're buying might be different, or how we market to them might be different, and what you need to put in might be different to what you're previously doing. So, I know it's a weird environment we're in. But people are still buying stuff, and that's for lots of different reasons, that need, want, desire. So yeah, maybe have a look at what you're currently doing and where's somewhere you could shift and maybe put some energy into that and refine what you're doing, and see what happens with that, because I can guarantee that you will be able to still make progress if you put some of that work in.
Yeah, wise words. So finally, just getting to the end of our lovely discussion, what, Kate, is your number one must do activity or thing to set you up for a successful product launch?
Yeah, absolutely. And product launches have really been a key driver for my own businesses and also for other ladies that I work with. And I think a lot of the time people think, that one launch I do over that few days, that's, the money maker. That's where the things happen. That's where I should be making lots of sales. And the problem is we haven't done the pre-launch. And I know you knew I was going to say this, but the pre-launch is the most important part if you are coming up to a launch or even a promotion, but also in your business in general, is what we do those few weeks out is how we attract more potential customers and buyers when we do launch. And so that pre-launch phase is where we're priming them up, we're nurturing them, we're showing the things that might be coming or what is going to be happening in a few weeks. This is where we're trying to attract more people. So the visibility, maybe you're leaning in with collaborations, maybe it's influencers or people in your network. Like, how are you getting visibility on your brand through the social platforms? Growing your email list, like I said. And really, by the time you go to launch, those people should be ready and waiting to buy. And that's the key difference. Is a launch, yep, you can do all the things, but if you got nobody ready and waiting to buy, or they don't even know what your product is that you're trying to promote, then they're going to take time to think about it. So they're not necessarily going to convert in that period. So the pre-launch, if you want a successful launch, pre-launch is where it's at. And there is a strategy and a bit of a framework to follow in the lead up to your launch, but that definitely can change the game from a launch that is meh to a launch that is like, wow, right? So yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice for anyone that is thinking about launching. And launching is not a one-time thing. I just want to add that in, because a lot of people say, I've already launched. It's like, you should always be in some form of a launch cycle in your business, and you should map those out really. I generally say within a 12-month period. So you're not launching all the time, but you do have different promotions and launches happening throughout the year. So you can build that momentum in between, have your launch, and then you kind of go back into some form of that launch cycle.
Yeah, that's a good point, because like, unless you're seasoned in this marketing landscape, I guess, launching, it means like the first time, like the one time. And I see so many businesses, and it makes sense to have multiple launches, or I guess promotions is another good word for it, promotional periods, because when you launch, like when you're a new business, you don't actually have an awful lot of like a big audience to launch to. So it doesn't make really much sense to just launch and then quietly sit there waiting for people to come along. I love that, being proactive with different creative promotions is, it makes sense. And quite often I also like when we have this, if we're running a business from home, or it's only really small, or we're also running, have employment, our mindset kind of affects that as well. And I like to sort of highlight things like stores like Maya or Big W or JB Hi-Fi. Like, they are uber successful products, businesses, stores, I don't know. But they're running promotions like weekly, like they're blasting their email list, and they've got no shame in it. So I'm like, you have got to have the JB Hi-Fi mindset.
Yeah, you do. You got to be okay to promote and sell your product, but it, again, it doesn't have to be every minute sell, sell, sell. It's
No.
just awareness, like this is what I have, this is where you can
Yeah.
get it, and a great example there. And I always use the one of Adair's because I am on the Adair's email list, and I swear every day almost it's like I've got a sale
Are
on,
you
or
a linen lover, Kate?
I am a linen
I'm
lover,
a linen lover.
and I shopped up the other week, but I don't unsubscribe because I love their stuff. And I think that's the difference when you get the right kind of customers on your email list or in your Instagram. They're not worried that you're telling them about your products, or you do have a promotion, because if they're ready to buy, they will, and they just see the opportunity. So yeah, it's almost taking yourself out of it and thinking I'm promoting myself and they're going to think I'm salesy, and really giving your customers an opportunity to buy the thing or remind them of what you have. A lot of them might be juggling motherhood as well, and we know our time frames are very small and we forget. So yeah, don't be afraid. You maybe don't have to be JB Hi-Fi, but you could just take a little inspiration and apply that and see what happens. I love that because I use that example all the time.
I love it. All right, lovely. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today, but I have got some fun questions to wrap up.
Yep.
So it is kind of like a rapid fire thing. So I'm going to ask what your favorite is, and I'll say a word, and then it's just whatever comes to mind. All right, what's your favorite app?
Ooh, Instagram.
Time of day?
Morning.
Exercise?
Walk.
Favorite habit or ritual?
Coffee.
Same.
Same.
No shame in that.
No shame.
Multiple children equals
Coffee. Multiple.
All right. Favorite way to relax?
Ooh, I do like watching Netflix.
Nice. And that, I love that, you can be a successful entrepreneur and sit on the couch and watch Netflix.
Absolutely.
And your favorite thing about your business?
Oh, my favorite thing is just what it's created for me, and also the ability to help other people.
Amazing. Well, Kate, thank you so much. I've loved chatting with you.
No, thank you.
Where can the ladies find you?
Yeah, so I definitely am over at Instagram. I know Roy mentioned it a couple of times. You can find me on Instagram at meant2biz. So come and find me, say hello. Yeah, would love to meet your ladies that are on the podcast. Yeah.
Thank you, Kate.
Welcome.
If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, I invite you to share the link with another woman in business or someone who needs to hear this message. Every woman we can support to grow a meaningful, profitable brand is another woman who is free to live a purposeful life for herself and be more present for her family. None of us are alone in the challenges we face in business, but the solution can start with a gift from someone else, and it could be a podcast episode just like this one. Thank you for listening.